For more than 6 decades, Cher stood as one of the most recognizable faces in entertainment. She survived changing trends, personal heartbreaks, career setbacks, and intense public scrutiny while continuing to perform before millions. But reaching 80 has brought a new chapter that few people expected. Behind the glamour, awards, and legendary status lies a story of resilience, loss, and determination. As time continues to move forward, what is really happening in Cher's life today, and how has she faced it? Long before the world knew her as Cher, before the sold-out concerts, award-winning performances, and decades of fame, she was simply a young girl trying to find her place in a world that often felt uncertain. Cher was born Sherilyn Sarkeesian on May 20, 1946, in El Centro, California. Her early years were far from glamorous. Her family struggled financially, and stability was often hard to find. Her mother, Georgia Holt, worked as an actress and model, but steady success remained out of reach. As a result, the family moved frequently, searching for better opportunities and a more secure future. For a young child, constant change was difficult. Schools changed. Neighborhoods changed. Friends came and went. Yet amid the uncertainty, one thing remained constant: Cher's fascination with entertainment. She loved movies. She loved music. And she loved watching performers who seemed larger than life. Even at a young age, she imagined herself standing under bright lights, captivating audiences the same way her heroes did. But dreams alone were not enough. The road ahead would prove far more challenging than she could have imagined. As the years passed, Cher struggled in school. Traditional education never felt like the right fit. She often felt different from those around her. While many classmates focused on ordinary teenage concerns, her mind remained fixed on something bigger. She wanted to perform. She wanted to be seen. Most importantly, she wanted a life beyond the limitations of her surroundings. By the early 1960s, that desire pushed her toward Los Angeles. The city was a place where dreams were born every day. Thousands arrived hoping to become stars. Most failed, but Cher believed she had to try. It was there that fate introduced her to a young music industry worker named Sonny Bono. At first, their relationship was based on friendship. Sonny was several years older and already connected to people inside the music business. He recognized something unique in Cher almost immediately. Her deep voice stood out from the crowd. Her appearance was unforgettable. And beneath her quiet exterior was a determination that refused to disappear. Soon, friendship turned into partnership. Then partnership became something much bigger. The two began working together professionally, pursuing opportunities wherever they could find them. During those early days, success was anything but guaranteed. The music industry was crowded with talented performers fighting for attention. Many record executives were unsure what to make of Cher. She did not fit the typical image of a female singer during that era. Her voice was lower. Her style was different. Her personality refused to follow expectations. Ironically, those very qualities would later become her greatest strengths. In 1965, everything changed. Sonny and Cher released I Got You Babe. The song became an international sensation almost overnight. Radio stations played it constantly. Fans embraced the young duo. Suddenly, two struggling performers found themselves at the center of a cultural phenomenon. As audiences watched them perform together, they saw something special. Their chemistry felt genuine. Their music felt fresh. Their image stood apart from many artists dominating the charts at the time. The success of I Got You Babe opened countless doors. Hit songs followed. Television appearances increased. Crowds grew larger with every performance. Standing on stage beside Sonny, Cher was no longer an unknown dreamer from California. She had become a star. The late 1960s brought enormous popularity. Across America and beyond, people recognized the pair instantly. Their music captured the spirit of a rapidly changing decade. At the same time, Cher's unique fashion choices began attracting attention almost equal to the songs themselves. Her bold outfits challenged conventional standards. She seemed fearless. Audiences admired her confidence. Meanwhile, television producers recognized the growing public fascination with the couple. Their popularity eventually led to opportunities beyond music. By the early 1970s, Sonny and Cher had become television personalities as well as recording artists. The Sonny and Cher Comedy Hour quickly became a major success. Millions tuned in each week. Families gathered around television sets to watch the pair exchange jokes, perform music, and entertain audiences across the country. For many viewers, Cher became the true standout. Her quick wit surprised people. Her presence dominated the screen, and her confidence continued to grow. As the audience watched, a remarkable transformation unfolded. The shy young girl, who once doubted herself, was becoming one of the most recognizable women in America. Yet fame brought new pressures. The spotlight never turned off. Every decision became public. Every success created higher expectations. Every mistake attracted attention. Still, Cher continued moving forward. Her influence extended beyond music and television. She represented independence during a period of major social change. Young women admired her willingness to stand apart from traditional expectations. Fans appreciated her honesty and authenticity. More importantly, she built a connection with audiences that would survive changing trends, changing generations, and changing eras. Many stars enjoy a few successful years. Few create careers lasting decades. Even fewer become cultural icons. By the middle of the 1970s, Cher was already moving toward that rare status. Her voice, style, and personality had made her impossible to ignore. From humble beginnings and uncertain circumstances, she had achieved a level of fame that once seemed unimaginable. The dream that started in childhood had become reality. But while success appeared unstoppable, major cracks were already forming behind the scenes. From the outside, everything seemed perfect. Sonny and Cher were among the most recognizable couples in America. Their television show was a success. Their music remained popular. Millions of fans admired their relationship and viewed them as proof that love and success could exist together. But behind the bright lights and smiling performances, a very different story was unfolding. As the 1970s progressed, the pressures of fame began taking a toll on their personal lives. Long work schedules, constant public attention, and growing differences between them created tension that became harder to ignore. For years, Sonny had played a major role in managing both their careers and their business affairs. In the beginning, that arrangement seemed to work. He had helped guide their rise to fame and protected their opportunities in a highly competitive industry. However, as Cher matured both personally and professionally, she wanted greater independence. She was no longer the uncertain young woman who had arrived in Los Angeles years earlier. She had become a major star in her own right. The confidence audiences saw on television was becoming confidence in real life. At the same time, disagreements between the couple became more frequent. The image presented to viewers each week did not fully reflect what was happening behind closed doors. The marriage was struggling. The partnership was under strain. And eventually, the problems became impossible to hide. In 1974, after years together, Cher and Sonny separated. For fans, the news came as a shock. Many had watched them build a life together in front of the cameras. Their relationship had become part of their public identity. The idea that they might go their separate ways seemed difficult to imagine. Yet the separation marked the beginning of one of the most uncertain periods of Cher's life. The divorce was not simply the end of a marriage. It was also the end of a professional partnership that had defined her career. Suddenly, questions surrounded her future. Could she succeed without Sonny Bono? Would audiences still support her on her own? Would the entertainment industry give her the same opportunities? Many critics doubted her chances. At the time, women in entertainment often faced enormous obstacles when trying to reinvent themselves. Some executives believed Cher's success depended entirely on the duo's popularity. Others viewed her as a television personality rather than a serious artist. Those doubts only increased the pressure. But Cher had spent her entire life proving people wrong. Rather than retreating from the spotlight, she decided to move forward. She began searching for new ways to define herself. The process was not easy. Every new project seemed to carry enormous expectations. Every appearance was closely examined. Every performance was compared to her past. Still, she refused to stop. Soon, she launched new television projects and continued pursuing opportunities as a solo performer. Some efforts succeeded. Others struggled. There were moments when critics predicted her career was fading. Yet each setback seemed to strengthen her determination. Audiences noticed something changing. The woman they once knew as half of a famous duo was gradually becoming an independent force. Her humor remained sharp. Her stage presence remained powerful. And her willingness to take risks made her increasingly unpredictable. Meanwhile, her personal life continued attracting public attention. Relationships became headlines. Interviews generated speculation. Photographers followed her everywhere. Living under constant scrutiny was exhausting. Yet Cher continued showing up. She continued working. She continued reinventing herself. As the years passed, her image evolved dramatically. She embraced bold fashion choices and a fearless public identity. While some critics questioned her decisions, fans admired her willingness to be different. She refused to fit into a single category: singer, television star, performer, celebrity. She could be all of those things at once. This ability to adapt became one of the defining traits of her career. Many entertainers struggle when a major chapter of their lives ends. Cher faced that challenge directly. Instead of allowing the end of her marriage to define her future, she used it as an opportunity to build something new. The transformation did not happen overnight. There were disappointments. There were moments of uncertainty. There were times when success seemed far away. But step by step, she rebuilt her career. More importantly, she rebuilt her confidence. As audiences watched her journey unfold, they saw someone refusing to surrender to circumstances. The struggles that followed her separation revealed a strength many people had never fully recognized before. She was not simply surviving. She was evolving. And that evolution would soon lead to some of the biggest achievements of her entire life. The challenges of the mid-1970s taught her lessons about resilience, independence, and self-belief. Those lessons would prove invaluable as new opportunities emerged. However, while her professional future was beginning to brighten once again, life still had painful surprises waiting ahead. The next chapter would bring moments of triumph, but it would also bring a loss that would forever change the story of Cher's life. Just as Cher regained control of her future, an unexpected tragedy would leave a permanent mark on her life. By the late 1970s, Cher had already lived through experiences that could have ended many careers. She had risen to fame. She had faced public scrutiny. She had endured the collapse of a marriage that millions had watched unfold. Yet somehow, she was still standing. More importantly, she was determined to prove that her story was far from over. As a new decade approached, Cher faced a difficult reality. The entertainment industry was changing rapidly. New artists appeared every year. Trends came and went. Many performers who had dominated one era struggled to remain relevant in the next. For a moment, it seemed possible that Cher might become another star remembered mainly for past successes. But Cher had never been interested in living in the past. Instead, she began searching for new ways to challenge herself. Music remained important, but she wanted more. She wanted to grow. She wanted to surprise audiences. And she wanted to prove that she was capable of far more than anyone expected. That determination led her toward an entirely new chapter: acting. Although she had appeared on television for years, entering the world of serious film acting was a completely different challenge. Many critics doubted her. Some believed audiences would never accept a famous singer as a dramatic actress. Others assumed her celebrity image would overshadow any performance. Yet once again, Cher embraced the challenge. In the early 1980s, she began pursuing film roles with remarkable determination. She studied. She worked tirelessly. She pushed herself far beyond her comfort zone. Slowly, the results began to show. Her performances attracted attention. Then they earned respect. And eventually they earned recognition. Films such as Silkwood demonstrated that Cher possessed genuine acting talent. Her performance surprised critics and opened doors that had previously seemed closed. For the first time, many people began viewing her not just as a performer, but as a serious actress. The momentum continued. More opportunities arrived. Bigger roles followed. Then came one of the defining moments of her career. In 1987, Cher starred in Moonstruck. The film became a major success. Audiences loved it. Critics praised it. And Cher delivered a performance that would change her career forever. When award season arrived, her name was everywhere. Then came the ultimate recognition. She won the Academy Award for Best Actress. Standing on stage as the audience applauded, Cher achieved something few entertainers ever accomplish. She had successfully reinvented herself. Again, the victory was about more than an award. It was proof that persistence could overcome doubt. Years earlier, many believed her career depended entirely on Sonny Bono. Now she stood among Hollywood's most respected performers. Yet success never erased life's difficulties. Behind the scenes, Cher continued facing personal challenges and emotional struggles. Throughout her life, family remained deeply important to her. Relationships brought joy, but they also brought heartache. Like many people, she experienced loss. She watched important chapters of her life come to an end. Some friends disappeared from her daily world. Others passed away. Each loss left an emotional mark. As the years passed, those moments accumulated. The public often saw glamour. The private reality was far more complicated. Fame did not protect anyone from grief. It did not stop time. And it could not prevent heartbreak. Still, Cher continued moving forward. Throughout the late 1980s and 1990s, she remained one of entertainment's most recognizable figures. Music returned to the center of her career. Concert tours filled arenas. Albums reached audiences across multiple generations. While younger artists emerged, Cher somehow continued finding ways to remain relevant. Many performers spent years chasing a comeback. Cher seemed to create one every decade. Then, in 1998, another remarkable moment arrived. The release of Believe. Few could have predicted what would happen next. The song became a worldwide phenomenon. Its innovative sound helped define an era. Fans embraced it instantly. Radio stations played it constantly. The single climbed charts around the globe. Suddenly, Cher was once again at the top of the music world. For younger listeners, she was not simply a legendary artist from the past. She was a current superstar. The success of Believe introduced her to an entirely new generation. It also reinforced a lesson that had followed her throughout her life. Never underestimate Cher. Whenever critics assumed her best years were behind her, she found a way to prove otherwise. The physical demands of maintaining such a career, however, were enormous. Years of touring placed strain on the body. Travel became exhausting. Performances required tremendous energy. While audiences saw dazzling stage productions, they rarely witnessed the discipline required behind the scenes. Every show demanded preparation. Every appearance carried expectations. And every year added new challenges. Yet Cher remained committed to her craft. She continued performing because she genuinely loved connecting with audiences. Fans responded with loyalty that few entertainers ever experience. Some had followed her journey since the 1960s. Others discovered her decades later. Together, they formed a fan base spanning generations. That connection became one of her greatest strengths. People admired her honesty. They admired her resilience. Most of all, they admired her refusal to quit. By the beginning of the 21st century, Cher had become something rare. Not just a celebrity. Not just a singer. Not just an actress. She had become a symbol of endurance. A living reminder that reinvention is possible, even after failure, heartbreak, and doubt. But despite all the awards, hit songs, and standing ovations, there was one challenge that no amount of determination could stop: the passing years. And as another milestone birthday approached, a new reality slowly came into focus. But the greatest challenge of her life was not fame, failure, or loss. It was the unstoppable passage of time. For most people, aging happens quietly. The years pass. Life changes. New challenges appear. Time moves forward without millions of people paying attention. For Cher, it was different. She had spent nearly her entire life in the public eye. From the moment she became famous in the 1960s, audiences watched her grow, change, succeed, fail, and rise again. Few entertainers had remained visible for so many decades. Even fewer had maintained the level of fame that Cher continued to enjoy. But as she entered her 70s and moved closer to 80, conversations about her career began to change. People were no longer asking only about music. They were no longer discussing only movies. Instead, many started asking a different question. How is Cher doing now? The curiosity was understandable. Generations had grown up watching her perform. Fans who once listened to her records as teenagers were now grandparents themselves. Time had moved forward for everyone, and yet Cher remained a familiar presence. Whether through concerts, interviews, social media, or public appearances, she continued finding ways to stay connected to her audience. Still, growing older brought challenges that could not be ignored. The entertainment industry often celebrates youth. It constantly searches for the next star, the next trend, the next sensation. For someone who had already spent more than half a century in the spotlight, remaining relevant required extraordinary effort. Cher understood this better than most. Instead of pretending age did not exist, she often addressed it openly. Her humor became one of her greatest tools. During interviews, she frequently joked about getting older. Audiences laughed, but behind the humor was a deeper truth. Aging is something everyone faces. Even legends, even icons, even people who seem larger than life. Throughout these years, fans continued paying close attention to every public appearance. When she stepped onto a stage, cameras followed. When she attended an event, headlines appeared. When she posted online, millions responded. Each appearance sparked discussion. Some people focused on her energy. Others admired her determination. Many simply expressed gratitude that she was still sharing parts of her life with the world. At the same time, rumors often followed her. Questions about health became common. Speculation appeared whenever she spent time away from public view. This is something many famous individuals experience as they grow older. People become concerned. They wonder how their favorite stars are doing. They worry about what the future may hold. For Cher, those concerns reflected something important. People cared. After decades in entertainment, audiences still felt connected to her journey. That connection had survived changing generations, changing technologies, and changing cultural trends. Few performers ever achieve that kind of lasting relationship with fans. Yet behind the scenes, the realities of aging remained unavoidable. Performing demanded more preparation than it once had. Travel could be exhausting. Long schedules required careful planning. The body changes over time, no matter how determined a person may be. However, one thing remained remarkably consistent: Cher's work ethic. Throughout her career, she built a reputation for persistence. When obstacles appeared, she adapted. When circumstances changed, she adjusted. Growing older became another challenge to navigate. Rather than disappearing from public life, she continued finding new ways to engage with audiences. Social media offered one example. Many older celebrities struggled to connect with younger online audiences. Cher embraced the platform in her own unique way. Her posts often reflected humor, honesty, and strong opinions. Fans appreciated the authenticity. It reminded them of the qualities that had made her famous in the first place. She remained unapologetically herself. That authenticity became increasingly valuable in a world filled with carefully managed public images. As the years continued passing, Cher also spent more time reflecting on her extraordinary journey. She had witnessed enormous changes in music, film, television, and culture. She had seen careers rise and fall. She had survived moments that could have ended everything. And somehow, she was still here, still performing, still creating, still inspiring. Many fans viewed her as more than an entertainer. She represented resilience. She represented independence. She represented the idea that setbacks do not have to define a person's future. Those lessons became even more meaningful as she entered the later chapters of life. Yet there was another emotional reality emerging. As time passed, Cher increasingly found herself reflecting on the people who were no longer beside her. Friends, family members, former colleagues, important figures from earlier chapters of her life. Many were gone. Their absence served as a reminder of how much time had passed. For someone whose career stretched across multiple generations, those memories carried enormous emotional weight. The public saw a legend. Behind that image stood a person carrying decades of experiences, triumphs, heartbreaks, and memories. And perhaps that is why so many people found themselves emotionally affected when they looked at Cher today. Not because she was growing older, but because her journey reminded them of their own. The years had changed her, just as they change everyone. Yet her determination remained unmistakable. The same spirit that carried her from a struggling childhood to international fame was still visible. And that spirit would become the heart of the final chapter of her remarkable story. Yet what touches fans most today is not her age, it is the deeply personal chapter that few expected to witness. As Cher approached her 80th year, something remarkable became clear. People were no longer talking only about her achievements. They were talking about her legacy. For more than 6 decades, she had remained part of popular culture. Entire generations had watched her evolve from a young singer into one of the most recognizable entertainers in history. Few artists remain relevant for 10 years. Fewer remain relevant for 20. Cher had done it for more than 60. That accomplishment alone placed her in rare company. Yet what made her story truly special was not simply the length of her career. It was the way she survived. Every chapter of her life seemed to include obstacles that might have ended someone else's journey. Financial struggles during childhood, career uncertainty, public criticism, heartbreak, loss, constant reinvention. Through it all, she kept moving forward. And that persistence became one of the most important parts of her legacy. Today, many fans see something deeper when they look at Cher. They do not simply see a singer. They do not simply see an actress. They see someone who refused to quit. That connection explains why so many people become emotional when reflecting on her life. Her story feels personal. It reminds people of their own challenges, their own losses, their own dreams, and their own determination to keep going despite difficult circumstances. Throughout the years, Cher influenced far more than music. Her impact extended into fashion, film, television, popular culture, and even conversations about independence and self-expression. She built a career by refusing to fit into expectations. Whenever people tried to place limits around what she could achieve, she found a way to break through them. That pattern repeated again and again throughout her life. When critics doubted her music career, she delivered hits. When they questioned her acting ability, she won an Academy Award. When they assumed her popularity was fading, she returned with another successful reinvention. Each comeback strengthened her reputation. Each challenge added another layer to her story. As audiences look back on those decades today, a clear picture emerges. Cher's greatest achievement may not be any single song, film, or award. It may be the example she set. An example of resilience. An example of courage. An example of continuing forward even when the future appears uncertain. For many longtime fans, this realization carries powerful emotions. Some remember watching Sunny and Cher on television decades ago. Others remember hearing Believe on the radio for the first time. Younger generations discover her through streaming platforms, interviews, and social media. Despite their different experiences, they share something important. They all became part of the same story. A story that has lasted across generations. As the audience watches recent appearances, there is often a sense of reflection. The bright lights are still there. The applause remains. The admiration continues. But now there is something else. Perspective. Time has transformed Cher from a celebrity into a living symbol of endurance. Her career serves as a bridge between different eras of entertainment. Few people alive today have witnessed so many changes while remaining at the center of public attention. That reality alone makes her story extraordinary. Yet perhaps the most touching aspect of Cher's journey is her honesty about life's difficulties. She has never presented herself as perfect. She has spoken about challenges. She has spoken about loss. She has spoken about fear and uncertainty. In doing so, she allowed audiences to connect with her on